All right, we are forced to go back to 3 lines from the top of Ois Mem Zayin. Chochma and Bina bring pnimius to Midas. And we discussed yesterday the principle of pnimius. And that has many angles. Pnimius means that you relate to what is this about on a principle level, both in terms of how it affects you, what does it mean to you, and also what is this thing itself about? Why is it shaped the way it is shaped? Why does it have those content and so forth? That's a pnimi, and this is from Moichin. Midas do not discern, do not identify with this level at first. If not from Chochma Bina, he says Hayamidas b'chinas oir makif. The midas would be in the oir makif b'china. Oir makif means that they would have oir, they would have a significance, what they stand for, but in a makif manner. The overall appearance, the beauty, and so forth, not its inner making. As in the case of midas that are above seichel, which means midas before seichel got to identify them. These are powerful midas, but they do not identify with any significance. In order that there should be an oil pnimi, here the word oil has to be attended to. Pnimi means the inner making. Oil is a makif inyan. Therefore, this is a combination of two inyan, oir, pnimi, and oir. And the implication in this is that yes, indeed, it is pnimi, which means it deals with its inner makeup. But the reason it deals with its inner makeup, and what it draws from the inner makeup is because of an oir, because it's significant, because of its significance, not because of its makeup. Like we say in very simple terms. Yesterday, the illustration of the food. One attends to what the food looks like, and what the food tastes like, and what the food, what its health content and so forth. And the spirit behind it is that it recognizes the significance of food. There's an oil element. It does not eat only that which suits its palate. It eats that which suits its overall presence. That which is compensates to its idea of what the world is about. What impression does the world in which I live make upon me? There are two parts of the world. There is the Oretz and the shamayim. The Oretz, the earth, can be in disarray and can become very ugly and dirty. The shamayim is always pure and clean. The human being identifies his spirit with the shamayim rather than with the Oretz. The animal identifies its spirit with the Oretz. That's a fundamental difference. And therefore, when the human being comes to eat something, he has to balance out against its shamayim perception, rather than its honest perception. Of course, it has to have physical content, but the physical content has to be so presented and so formed that it does not deny the beauty of the shamayim. This is the significance of taking a glass of water and making a bracha. Water is water. But we don't drink water because water is water. We drink water because the Rebbe made the water, gave the water for us to drink. We cannot lose sight, we cannot drink water just because there is water. It has to be made for us, like we discussed the other day. Okay. This is the meaning of the word oir pnimi. Even though pnimi is the breakup and the content of the inner content of the object, but there's an oir that makes it interesting to you. There is the oil that says, yes, the inner content is significant, because the inner content also is a representative of the overall reality, of the shamayim element that we said. And that is due to the moichin. Okay, this is the fourth line from the top of Ois Mem Zayin. Shehamoichin hein be'etzem.
To remain on the spot, press 1.
Shehamoichin hein be'etzem beginnes pnimi. In essence, moichin are beginnes pnimi. We discussed this yesterday. And just to quickly allude to what we discussed, the reason that moichin identify with the content of what it observes is because it relates to the content, relates to the pnimius, to the significance of things, rather than to its appearance and to its experience. In essence, moichin is pnimi. And therefore, V'oisin gam kein b'hamidos, and the effect in the midas also sheyiyeh b'bchinas oipnimi, that the midas should also be in the bechina of oipnimi. Which means that, taken on the lowest level, that if I like the taste of certain food, it's because it's tasty. The palate is satisfying, but that is not the whole story. It also alludes, and it also relates to some kind of a pnimi, of some kind of a real neshama inference. An interesting thing. Really, it's difficult to really pin down and explain what it is. Something that's pleasant, sweet, and pleasant. We understand why the palate is why you want to eat it. Why you're pleased by eating it. Something that's sour. Or even worse, it's salty, like a piece of herring. What's so enticing about a herring? It's the opposite of pleasantness. This is the effect of moichin upon midas. There's an oir. There is some kind of a higher sense in this unpleasant, untasty food, contrary food, that arouses in the person a certain cognizance of a deeper truth than just the pleasantness of the food. That's called oipnimi. And that is alidei hamoichin davki. And that's affected on the midas, to the extent that even the taste of food is representing this union. The Alter Rebbe in Tanya talks about ma'adanim, shnei minim ma'adanim. There are two types of delicacies: sweet and pleasant food, and then there is also sharp and sour food. That is also, ma'adanim is also a delicacy. The Alter Rebbe said that this is the two avodah of tzadikim, and avodah b'alei tshuva. B'alei tshuva are also very pleasing to Hashem, but in a totally different perspective. Okay, let's continue. We're into the parentheses. That which it says elsewhere. The yiker hapnimi hein hamidas. The opposite of what we say. That the principle of the pnimi is in the midas. V'hamoichin, and the moichin hein bebchinas makif adayin. The moichin are in a makif manner adayin. Adayin means as yet. Even though it's an experience, but it has not become pnimi in the person. It is a makif experience. The reason it's such a dayan, I mean, so far as yet, because moichin is higher than midas. So it comes from a higher level, from rotzen and moichin and then midas. So rotzen is of course makif, and then it comes into moichin. In moichin, it still has not become part of the person. It still is a makif. When it comes to midas, it becomes pnimi. This is the way it is explained elsewhere. And this is what the Rebbe says. That contradicts what we just finished saying. We say, Ikir ha'pnimi ha'midas u'ma'echin he b'bchinas makif hadayin, it's in a b'china makif as yet, means it's still affected by that which is higher than moichin. So what does that mean? Put the opposite of what you're saying. So the Rebbe explains, as I said, this is like a parenthetic insight. This is not going off in a different tangent. It's pointing out that there is another aspect to it which is not what we're talking about. Hine sham hakavana. There, the intent is, the reference to the meaning of pnimi is a different significance of the word pnimi. Hakavana, there the intent is beinyan hatfina hatfisa vehahislapshus. In reference to the tfisa meaning being grasped, and hislapshus meaning putting ourselves into it. Shezay pnimi. This is an ayin pnimi. Meaning to say, to what extent and in what manner does the person relate to it? Not what its content is, but how, to what extent is he grasped in it? Is he grasped, is he identified with this? This is in pnimi. When a person gets into something and that becomes identified, that becomes his mitzias. The b'midah is, and from that perspective, the midah is harehu nitvas b'hadav. In case of midah is harehu nitvas b'hadav. The person is nitfas. He is grasped in this thing in which he feels has that midah. The person is angry, for example. It's not an act of anger. The whole person, he becomes absorbed. He becomes totally identified with this anger. Masha came by moichin. In contrast with moichin, need was kolkach. In moichin, he is not grasped to that extent. Even though in moichin also he has a personal stake, so to speak, a personal involvement in what he is learning, in what he is thinking, but not to that extent. As I said, moichin, he is still a makif. He is still almost like an observer of the inyan. He doesn't become him. For this reason too, in midas ein yochel lizbol hadover hasonoi. One cannot tolerate hadover hasonoi, that which is hated by him. He can't tolerate, he can't look at it, he can't be in close proximity with it. Mipnei, because shalvei hamidos, as a result of the midah harehonit was b'hadover, because he himself is grasped in the inyan. Ve'al kein, and therefore, leyuchal lekabel dover ha'achfochi v'negdi hason le'elav. He cannot accept, he cannot give credence to something that is the opposite of what he likes, and that which is opposing to him, hason that he dislikes. The moichin, on the other hand, the moichin, because that he is not in a manner of tfisa or being grasped in Indian, even though to understand something you have to be involved, but he is not totally grasped in it. This has not become his mitzias. He can actually tolerate even that which is hated to him, which is hateful to him. Which is discussed elsewhere in more conclusively. So this is a different union of Pnimi.
What does it mean to Mekabel and Midas, or to Sovel and Meichin? Like what exactly is it being referred to? That one is he can do, one he can't do.
You come into a room and it's in total disarray, and on top of it it's dirty. You observe it and says, "Oh, it's dirty, let's clean it up." And then there's another reaction, I can't stand it. I can't even bend down to start cleaning it up. Turns me off. Makes me sick. And that's in the two, Yochel and Yochel.
So one person's operating at a Meichin level, the other is operating
right.
purely Midas.
Somebody who is hired to clean doesn't necessarily mean that he is on a lower make, but this is his job. When he comes into the dirty place, he doesn't personally associate with it. He looks at it, what he's supposed to do. And to him, this is a panos. So he can actually be aloof to the effect of it and deal with it on the micro level. So this is a different principle in the term pnimi. Pnimi means that it gets imbued with the inyan. It touches a person on a pnimi level. That's in midos more than in moichin. Ukmoi, to further elaborate on this principle, that in moichin is not the tfiso kokach, and in midos is bitfisa. This is further illustrated in the fact shehat tfiso bikim hu b'midos dafka. That the tfisa, to be grasped in Kelim, is in midas. Okay, this is a broader union. Let's just finish it inside. Atfisa bekelim hu b'midas dafka. To be teufels in kelim is a midas dafka. Ubemoichin and moichin eine kolkar bebchinas tfisa bekelim is not to kolkach to a fullest extent in a tfisa bekelim keneda, as is well known. To take an example, if you have compassion for someone in need, this compassion is expressed on a practical level in kelim. If you have a midah of compassion and you want to act on it, you will go and you will prepare a plate of food for him and serve it to him. So that in midas your compassion is nitwas in kelim. How do you express this compassion? Depending on what he needs, of course, but you look for the way to present it to him and to alleviate his suffering. This is the midah. So even when it comes to this level of tfisa b'kelim, of identifying in a keli a certain type of a reaction, it is in midos, and b'meichin it is not that much nitus with keli. So this is not the end of the inyan from kelim. We'll finish the inyan and then we'll go back. So the Rebbe says, how do we say that the inyan from kelim is in midas davke v'haloi, but is it not? Kol inyan hahasoga. The whole principle of hasoga means comprehension. How do you define comprehension? Hitfisa b'keili davke. It is a grasp in the keili davke. There is chokhmah and bina. Chokhmah is the perception, the conceptualization. Hasoga is when you actually reach it and get it and take it in. You have, so to speak, caught it. This is the b'keili, when it is nitus b'keili. And this is inyan from moichin. The whole phenomenon of hasoga is when you take a concept and you break it down into a keli. Seems to be contradiction to the principle we just finished saying that kelim are in midas, not in moichin. So the Rebbe says, this inyan that in called inyan hasoga, the whole phenomenon of hasoga is the principle of tfisa b'keili davka. This is when you have hasoga. What does it mean that there is ownership, for example? There is ownership. That which belongs to someone else, you should not be touching. It doesn't belong to you. And if you take it, of course, there is consequences. What is the keli for ownership? The keli is precisely what we said. This is his and don't touch it. And if you did take it, then you have to return, you have to pay for it. So the concept of ownership is translated on the keli level. What do you do if you did violate someone's rights? You have to pay for it. And if it's theft, you have to pay double, the Torah says. This is the keli that gives a sense of what it means to violate somebody's rights and ownership. Which are midos, for example. Midos would say, it's enough for me to apologize. I offended you. I apologize. Meichen says, no, the apology is not sufficient. You have the object. There's another principle, an interesting principle, that if in fact you have somebody's property, somebody's object, you do not have the option of paying him for its value. As long as the object exists, you have to return it to him, the object itself. I'm paying him $150 for a $100 object, not acceptable. You're still oiven on theft. So Midas, he says, yeah, sounds good. So Hasoga, the comprehension, the full understanding of a phenomenon is in Kfisa B'Kelim, when you identified exactly what you have to do. How do you counteract that which you did, or do it the right way? This is what I said, things will be contradicting what we finished saying. Hasoga, calling Hasoga with Kfisa B'Kelim Davke. So how do we say that Kelim is in Midas? The explanation is, Rak accept, Sheha-Kelim Einam Koelu Liyed B'Bchinas Tfilas HaMamash. The Kelim of Meichin, even though it's Kelim Hasoga, and that's the whole meaning of Hasoga. It's the difference between comprehension and conceptualization. Conceptualization is the pure Meichin. Comprehension is when it goes into Kelim. And that's the whole meaning of Hasoga, in Kelim. And comprehension is only in Kelim. However, this is a different aspect of Kelim. Rak accept, and even though it's all Kelim, except Sheha-Kelim Einam Koelu, is another type of Kelim, Liyad B'Bchinas Tfilas HaMamash, that it should become in a Tfisa Mamash, and Tfisa to be grasped by it. Like in our example, if you have somebody's property, it is incumbent upon you to return the object. This is Hasoga. As long as you have the article by you, does this article represent an abomination? Something that kind of renders your home impure? You have to return the object. It's not nitfus. You don't get grasped by it. So this is different kind of kelim of midos, which grasp the person and identify the person with it. Then there's kelim of hasaga, which do not identify the person. It just it's a grasp of the hasaga rather than the person. But the union of tfisa, that the person is nitwas in it, that is primarily in midos, not in moich.
This that the man's nitfas by it seems like a kind of a imbalance, that the person's getting schlepped after, pulled into the topic.
No, it's not imbalance. This is midas. A person who has a living sense of right and wrong.
Okay, so that being said, what puts up any boundary on a midah, whether it's appropriate or inappropriate, anger, joy?
Moichin puts a boundary on the midah.
It comes over it and says, calm down or get out of that.
Say, listen, there's a limit.
But so the man's not fully nitfas. He is nitfas, and then comes later the seichel and says, cool it. It doesn't work together.
The midah is nitfas.
Okay.
When a person gets angry, God forbid.
His seichel, that's what I'm saying.
That's what he's going to do.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It seems like his seichel is out of the scene, out of commission.
The seichel is not out of the scene. The seichel has to be applied. Alright, this is it. I'll tell you, let me just finish. So we identified a different meaning of the word tfisa. Pnimi. In terms of tfisa, we mean nitwas, that's forget that the pnimi is more in midas than in moich. And in that itself, the whole lineage of hasaga is tfisa b'kelim, but it's a different kind of tfisa. He doesn't get grasped into it.